I had one of my students leave my school today, and that happens a lot. Students come to the school, they leave the school. If you don't know, guys, I run an online flying training school. People come, we use software, and I just teach them to fly like I did in the Royal Air Force, but we use a video game. That's all it is. That's the school subscription method. Come and join. And the thing is, they wrote me a DM and they said, I'm leaving. And I said, okay, cool. But then what they wrote, I thought, oh, come on, like seriously? And what they wrote, I've got it here, guys, on a tablet. I was going to read it to you right now. I'll put it on the screen as well so you can read along as I talk. I said, one of my students quit today saying that I had endorsed Tommy Robinson in my latest YouTube video. I don't know what he means, but I do know that if I was the dad of one of the young girls raped by the gangs Robinson exposed, I would certainly be very grateful to him. You know, very grateful for Tommy Robinson for highlighting these things. And what the actual guy wrote to me was, he said, hi mate, and the guy's been in the school a while, you know what I mean? He said, sorry to have to do this, but I've cancelled my membership to your Patreon. People access the school through Patreon. I honestly believe you're a decent bloke with a genuine love for this country, etc. And I know you only want what's best for the UK going forwards. So take that on board. Yeah, listen to what he said there. And then he says, but after you endorsed Tommy Robinson recently, I decided that I couldn't remain a member. Now, one of the things about flying, when I was teaching fast jet aviation in the Royal Air Force, we had something called professionalism. And what that professionalism allowed you to do is to kind of hold two different thoughts in your head at the same time, but also bring yourself to work that wasn't going to be biased by your own political agenda. So when you flew with people, yes, there were some guys on the squadron. I mean, everyone kind of thought the same, but there were some guys on the squadron that you got on better with other guys. I mean, there were some guys you'd rather fly with and some guys you wouldn't really rather fly with, but you never minded being on the program with someone or being in an airplane with someone. It wasn't like that. I never thought once, oh my God, I don't get on with that guy, or that guy's a pain, or that guy's political views I don't agree with. It just didn't happen. So we compartmentalize and we fly. And when we fly, we're professional. And in my school, what I tend to do, if I know two guys don't always get on that well, what I tend to do is I put those two guys and I put them together. I put them together in the airplane at the same time. And I want to do that because I want them to demonstrate the professionalism, the captaincy, the airmanship and everything else. I want them to be there, to fly together, to understand it doesn't matter what their political views are. It doesn't matter about what they care. They're there to get on. And this guy, unfortunately, it did matter to him that he thought I'd endorsed Tommy Robinson. And the video he's talking about, I put a link to it at the end of this one, guys. You may have seen it. Hit the comments if you think I'm out of line here or something like that. I have one place in the school where you can say what you want. That's called the public chat forum. You can even say, Tim's a dick. I hate Tim. I hate his teaching. And I won't, it doesn't matter. I'm not offended by that. I mean, you know, I know how it is. It's cool. But everywhere else, you can't talk about the politics. It's just talking about flying. It's talking about aviation. It's talking about the game we use. It's talking about the profiles we fly. Everything in the school is about being professional. And it's so odd that out here, that doesn't seem to be the case. I'm going to go on now and I'm going to talk a little bit about this Tommy Robinson thing. I think whatever you think about, I mean, the guy actually did add, he added some context to this. So, you know, he's a nice guy. I'll just read out the context he added to it. Because I wrote back to him and said, I didn't endorse Tommy. I said, where'd you get that from, mate? I said, I'm going to have to rewatch the video now. If you know what line, you know, I said, then let me know. The video I said that, I wish I was at that march that he did on the 1st of June. Against two-tier policing, they're talking about immigration and everything else. I think we should be supporting. In the UK, my thing in the UK is that we need to have a conversation. It's happening in America, Australia, it's happening everywhere in the world, mainland Europe. We've got to have a conversation about immigration because the public sector services that we're seeing and housing for young people is a real problem. It is a problem. I'm not making this up, guys, it's a problem. Now, here's how I look at it. Like your mum needs an operation or whatever, right? Because she's in her 80s, like my mum. Is it right that my mum that's paid taxes all her life, she's got to wait behind someone that's come into this country? That's not right, surely. We've got to have a conversation about that. But here's the other thing about it. That immigrant that's coming to the UK might be a mate of yours. They might actually be contributing towards the state. How would you deprive them of the healthcare they needed if your mum needed it first? We're not a country that says, no, that person needs to get no healthcare. It's a really complicated one. But here's the thing. That immigrant wouldn't be in the country first if we had a positive immigration policy that we'd all discussed. I mean, I think even Richard Tice from Reform said he's going to allow, well, now Farage is in charge, of course, like 500,000 immigrants a year into the UK of a country of allegedly 67 million. We know it's much higher than that, up around the 80s. If you've got a figure from that, guys, then whack it down in the comments. And also remember, it was the supermarkets, wasn't it, that laughed at that figure. And they said, well, look, we know how much people are eating and we know how much toilet roll people are using, and the figure's more in the 80s or 90 million in the UK. What are we going to do about it? So this guy has an issue with the fact that I have an issue. Let me tell you something right now. I know people that do public speaking, and they study Hitler's speeches. They study how Hitler spoke. They study the mannerisms, the way he holds the audience. Do you think that I think that they like Hitler? Of course I don't. I don't know what that word's going to do to this video, by the way. My goodness, I hadn't even thought of that, guys. You know what I mean? We're being censored, aren't we? So, no, of course I don't. But they're looking at other sources. They're looking at people that were good orators. And Hitler was a good orator. He was a very, very good speaker. He held the audience through many methods, of course. You know, we understand that. So because I said, yeah, I want to be on that march to support the people, because I do, because I'm an Englishman, I'm British. Does that mean that I like everything about Tommy Robinson? No, of course it doesn't. But does it mean that I support Tommy Robinson and what he said about the young girls in Rotherham and Telford and everywhere else? Yes, it does, absolutely, 100%, because no one else was saying it, and these were young women. Let me talk about these young women right now. This may be so sad. I've talked about this before. The reason some of these young girls went to these Muslim men was because the young girls had such a poor home life. They were just not loved. Maybe their mum and dad were split up or whatever. They had such a bad, this is what's so sad right now, I'm warning you, this is so sad. They had such a bad home life that they would rather go to men who would induce them with drugs and alcohol and rape them, because at least there they felt that someone was paying them attention. Can you believe that? That's so disgraceful for me that we allowed this to happen in this country. We allowed this. The police turned a blind eye about it. Care workers turned a blind eye about it until Tommy Robinson brought this stuff up and forced the issue that these young girls went to these men because the men would just pay them some attention and their family never would. I can't believe I live in a country that allows that to happen. So yes, I'll be on that march. Absolutely, I'll be on the march, because I want to have the conversation. I want to say, look, I live in this country and my mum does and my family does and people I care about do. And we need to have a conversation like, how many immigrants are we going to bring in and what's the quality of those immigrants? If we're bringing in people that are coming in these boats and we don't know who they are, like, would you allow someone, if someone kept, right, I'm in my house watching TV, a dude walks into my house, right? What am I going to say? Who are you, mate? And I expect that guy to give me an answer. If he doesn't give me an answer, I'm going to tell him to get out. It could be a threat, couldn't he? How is that different to the country we're in? Why are we allowing people into the country who we don't know who they are? Normally, you put these people somewhere and you say, right, we need to prove who you are, all right? But we don't. They escape, don't they? Or they're not managed properly. I mean, this is what I've heard. I don't know how true this is. Hit the comments if you think I'm talking out of line here, guys. I'm not against anyone. I trained Muslims. I did I train any Sikhs? No, I didn't train any Sikhs to fly, interestingly enough. But I trained a lot of people. Worked with Sikhs. Trained a lot of people. I don't care whether you want to come into the UK and I don't care who you are, if you're bringing value into the UK. Of course, of course, it's not about that. And a lot of people are looking at the generalizations here as well. Like, if you support standing up for your country, if you support saying, no, we need to have a conversation about this, guys, I don't see how public sector services are going to survive if this continues at 500,000 people a year. And like, I'm the bad guy for saying this right now. I'm the bad guy. The guy said, to be honest, this is the guy that left my school. To be honest, it's the whole video, military officer's view on Tommy Robinson March in London. Now, with that video, I wanted to get eyes on it. So yeah, I put military officer in there. Yeah, I retired 5 years ago. I didn't retire, obviously, but I'm out of the military. You state that you wish you could attend the march, etc., which is true. If that's not an endorsement, then I'm not sure what is. I wholeheartedly agree that we as a nation need to have a frank discussion on immigration, etc. Successive governments have failed in that regard. But I couldn't associate myself with anything that Tom Robinson has to offer, I'm afraid. Just my personal view. Anyway, all the best. And he's a nice guy. Yeah. I said to you, he's a good guy. My students are good people, right? And I get it. I'm not having a go at him. I'm using this as an example of the thinking of the everyday person, that you can't associate with anything Tommy Robinson does because you'll be labelled as far right. Now, Rowley, the Met Commissioner, so the Chief of the Police, Mark Rowley, the Chief of the Police in London, so the metropolis, he actually said that march on the 1st of June was a far-right march. There were Muslims on that march. There were Muslims, British Muslims on that march, saying the same thing that Tommy Robinson was saying about two-tier policing and unregulated immigration. Yet it was a far-right march. I put far-right in my Twitter. That tweet I put out, by the way, I put that tweet out. Let me have a look at it now. I put the tweet out. I just said, look, it's basically saying, look, what are we doing? How are we not having these conversations with our family? I'm not saying Tommy Robinson is whiter than white, but that tweet at the moment, if I look at it now, that tweet's got like 700 and almost 800 likes on that. You can't see it, it's all reflective, sorry guys. Like 800 likes on a tweet where I'm saying this about Tommy Robinson. I'm saying, you know, one of my students quit the school because I supported, and yeah, I do support Tommy Robinson. Guys, sorry, this is a bit ranty. I'll probably delete it and throw it away. You know, I'll see how much time I've got. See if I can record another one. I do apologise if it's come a bit ranty. I do apologise, but I also thank you for all the emails from the from you people that have written to me about these videos. You know, I realise there's some solid British people out there that really care. And when I say this, it's brilliant to see all the people from Ireland, Wales, Scotland, and England all coming together, unified under the same thing. Because we have our little, you know, we do have our little gripes with each other sometimes, but on this, I think we're clear. The thing about the Germanic people, of which we are, of course, is that we're quiet for quite a long time. And then we go and change worlds. And I think that's coming. I know we're treated as just a number, but the problem is, what the government doesn't realise is that they treat us as just numbers. But very often, those numbers stand up and make sure they're counted. And that's what we got to do, all right?